Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Matheson with Epic Neurorehabilitation and Psychology Services and Matheson Development. This course material is designed to accompany the Dull Chair Assembly Task Professional Manual 2025. We've designed the curriculum to be in the format of a conversation between myself and a student based on experiences that I have had providing real-time, in-person training on these materials. We hope that you'll find the format and the information engaging and useful in your professional development. Welcome to our training program on the Dull Chair Assembly Task, or DCAT. This first chapter, Introduction and Orientation, will lay the groundwork for understanding what DCAT is and how it's used in work rehabilitation.
So, what exactly is the DCAT, and what's its main purpose?
Great question. The DCAT is a core component of a Progressive Occupational Demand, POD, system, part of a fictional business called the Goldilocks Chair Company. Its primary purpose is to facilitate work rehabilitation for competitive employment. It does this by engaging clients in meaningful tasks, providing a standardized way to calibrate occupational demands, measuring their responses to these demands, and being sensitive to executive dysfunction. Essentially, we're looking to help people transition smoothly back into the workforce.
So, it's a tool to help people get back to work by using tasks that progressively get harder. And it helps measure how well they cope with those challenges, especially if they have issues with executive functions. Is that why it includes both dull chair assembly and oral comprehension tasks?
Precisely. The 18 subtests of DCAT are designed to offer a broad range of challenges by combining dull chair complexity with oral comprehension tasks, like transcribing telephone messages. This dual approach helps us simulate real-world worker roles. The DCAT also provides valuable behavioral observation data for rehabilitation planning, which allows therapists to apply competitive employment standards safely and reliably. In more advanced cases, it can even be used in forensic settings to assess work capacity in wage loss compensation cases, especially with the help of the DCAT Occupational Task Ability Profiler, OTAP.
So the DCAT helps therapists gather concrete data for rehabilitation plans, and it can even be robust enough for legal situations. What kind of equipment is involved? Is it just the dull chairs?
It's more than just the chairs. The DCAT assessment kit includes a parts layout template, like the Papa Bear chair template shown in Figure 2, and 2 sets of parts for each of the 3 dull chairs, one of each set labeled and the other unlabeled. The evaluator uses these labeled parts to provide an example of a completed assembly.
Why specifically a dull chair for this assessment?
The selection of a dull chair is quite deliberate. It's a meaningful object whose purpose is readily apparent from its structure. This means task completion is unambiguous, as there's only one correct outcome. This allows for self-correction of errors, which is crucial for clients with cognitive impairments or chronic pain that interferes with concentration. Moreover, using a meaningful task addresses the client's unspoken question, how does this relate to my job? It ensures client acceptance and full participation, which helps to mitigate motivation problems like depression, severe pain, or boredom.
So the dull chair is meaningful, has a clear end goal, and allows clients to fix their own mistakes, all of which promotes engagement and helps them see the relevance of the assessment to their lives.
When we talk about how we evaluate work capacity, we use 2 main types of tests: situational assessments and work sample tests.
What's the difference between those two?
Situational assessments focus on qualitative observations during work simulations, allowing for naturalistic observation. In contrast, work sample tests quantify productivity by measuring the time it takes to complete tasks, following standardized procedures that allow for reliable comparisons with normative data. This leads us to the concept of the just right challenge. The progressive challenges across the 18 DCAT subtests come from increasing chair complexity and interrupting the assembly process with telephone message transcriptions.
So, situational assessments are more about observing how someone works, while work sample tests are about how fast they work compared to others. And the just right challenge means the difficulty is adjusted. How is that difficulty calibrated with the doll chairs?
Excellent summary. The psychomotor demand increases with the complexity of each doll chair. Each chair is precisely engineered from furniture-grade PVC tubing, making incorrect assembly very difficult because the unique arms apply tension if parts are misaligned. For example, the baby bear chair is the simplest, lacking a seat or back, unlike the mama bear and papa bear chairs, which have progressively more spindles. The papa bear chair is the most complex, even including a 45-degree offset handle.
So the physical complexity of the chairs themselves determines part of the just right challenge. And what about the cognitive side?
The cognitive demand increases with the removal of the parts template as an organizing tool, the addition of distractor parts, and more complex instructions, along with interruptions from telephone messages. The evaluator chooses partially completed message forms to control this difficulty. For new evaluators, practicing with each doll chair and at least one telephone message form is recommended to help select the appropriate demand level for a client. We also provide normative data in the appendices for initial and retest evaluations of all chairs. It's crucial to be mindful of the practice effect with the mama bear and papa bear chairs, as a lack of improvement on retest could indicate less than full effort.
Okay, so the chairs add psychomotor challenge and the phone messages add cognitive challenge. And I should keep the practice effect in mind when retesting with mama bear and papa bear. And if there's no improvement, it might signal that the client isn't giving their full effort. Does this all fit into a larger conceptual framework?
Yes, it does. The conceptual model for DCAT pods is the stage model of occupational rehabilitation. The DCAT pods are specifically used at stage 3 to identify work-relevant functional limitations resulting from impairments. Then at stage 4, work samples compare the client's performance to the competitive labor market, quantifying occupational disability. Finally, at stage 5, situational assessments are used in a simulated employment context where the therapist acts as a supervisor to evaluate the client's acceptability as an employee. This model emphasizes collaboration between occupational therapists, vocational evaluators, and rehabilitation counselors to improve the likelihood of successful employment.
So DCAT helps at different stages of the rehabilitation process, from identifying limitations to assessing job readiness. And I see that we participate in 7 of the 8 levels, and we lead the team at the 3 intermediate levels. That's very exciting. Now, are there specific standards or criteria that the DCAT itself must meet as a test?
Absolutely. All tests that measure work capacity must adhere to the test factors hierarchy: safety, reliability, validity, practicality, and utility. These factors are hierarchical, meaning issues higher up constrain those lower down. For example, safety constrains reliability, and reliability constrains validity. Let's break them down. Safety. The test protocol must be safe. Unsafe tests can lead to inconsistent or submaximal client performance. Reliability. This refers to the dependability of test results, meaning standardized procedures consistently produce results within an expected range with minimal error. Validity. This is the extent to which evidence supports the intended interpretation of test scores for their specific purpose. This evidence can come from the test's content, empirical studies, its internal structure, and relationships with other relevant tests or criteria. Practicality. This concerns the cost of the test procedure in terms of time and expense, ensuring it doesn't place an undue burden on the client. Utility. This assumes that if a test is safe, reliable, valid, and practical, it will produce valuable results for all stakeholders: the client, the referral source, and the evaluator.
That makes sense. So, first and foremost, the test must be safe. Then its results must be consistent. Then they need to actually measure what they're supposed to measure. It can't be too burdensome. And finally, it has to be useful. How has the DCAT specifically addressed these factors?
The DCAT was meticulously designed with this hierarchy in mind. For safety, the parts are easily handled. Durable, furniture-grade PVC, providing high visual contrast and being easy to clean. There have been no reports of serious injuries in over 15 years of administration. For reliability, the work sample test uses a standardized parts placement and assembly process with clear start and end points. It's sensitive to inconsistent effort by comparing placement and assembly performance, and results are unequivocal, meaning only one correct assembly outcome. Regarding validity, the 3 doll chair versions offer a wide range of task difficulties, and pilot testing showed that the baby bear chair could be completed by most, while the Papa Bear challenged all participants. The tasks sample abilities encountered daily and normative data collected from competitively employed individuals ensure scores reflect real-world performance. The practicality of the DCAT results from feedback from dozens of occupational therapists during its development. The work sample test can typically be administered in 12 to 20 minutes and only require a standard flat work surface measuring 30 inches by 72 inches, making them suitable for both office and clinical settings. The situational assessments have the same physical footprint but require 15 to 30 minutes to complete. Finally, for utility, the DCAT aims to quickly provide safe, reliable, practical, and valid information to support occupational rehabilitation planning.
You also mentioned something called the Employability Rating Scale earlier. What is that?
The Employability Rating Scale, or ERS, is a crucial tool. It's a 5-level scale: competitive, self-managed, coached, sheltered, and unable, that guides evaluators in monitoring client performance and determining the minimum workplace accommodations necessary to maintain safety and productivity. The evaluator, acting as an employer's representative, prioritizes safety first, then productivity, as safety concerns can lead to job loss. The ERS helps interpret observations in the context of disability rights laws, guiding stakeholders on potential accommodation needs.
So the ERS helps us determine how much support a client might need to be safely and productively employed, from needing no help to being unable to work. Where are these observations and ratings actually recorded?
Evaluators use the ERS to grade behavioral observations directly onto specific evaluation records, each tailored to the type of assessment being conducted, and all are included in the appendices of this professional manual. First, for the work sample tests, which quantify productivity by measuring task completion time against normative data, we use the work sample test record, found in Appendix C. This record captures time performance and initial ERS observations for tasks like parts placement and assembly. Then, for situational assessments, which focus on qualitative observations during work simulations and allow for naturalistic observation, we have 2 types of records depending on the complexity of the task. Situational assessment record number 1, Appendix D, is used for assessments that involve doll chair assembly without the added cognitive demand of telephone interruptions. Finally, for situational assessments that incorporate telephone message transcription tasks, which increase cognitive demand and assess executive functions, we use situational assessment record number 2, Appendix E.
One final question. Does the DCAT comply with relevant employment laws and guidelines?
Yes, absolutely. The DCAT developers have ensured compliance with all professional and ethical guidelines, including those from the American Psychological Association, the American Occupational Therapy Association, and the Canadian Association of Occupational Therapists. They have decades of experience designing tests that are proven to be safe, reliable, and valid predictors of competitive employment. The scientific basis of DCAT originated in the 1990s at the Washington University School of Medicine. specifically in response to relevant disability rights and employment laws. Its use in clinical and forensic practices has demonstrated significant success in helping individuals with cognitive disabilities and psychomotor difficulties return to safe and dependable employment. And expert opinions based on DCAT findings are accepted in forensic settings across North America.
That's really reassuring to hear that it's grounded in ethical guidelines and has a strong scientific and legal basis. Thank you for covering all this.
You're very welcome. That's exactly what we aim for. Understanding these foundational aspects is key to effectively utilizing the DCAT in practice. So, thank you for your attention and participation in this DCAT professional development course. If you have any questions, concerns, or suggestions, we encourage you to contact us. We will greatly appreciate the opportunity to hear from you.